What's up, guys? This is the Wild Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Heskett, and we are back with another episode. I am back from vacation. Things were a little crazy, which is why, if you're watching the actual video of this, which I don't think it really shows up on YouTube, even though it's supposed to. I have to look into that. But if you're on Spotify, you're going to be able to watch the video. So I'm at my dining table. The reason for it, I can't remember if I said on a previous podcast, but we had water damage from a storm in the basement. We had some sort of issue down there. We're not exactly sure, but basically my whole office area got flooded. And so, yeah, we had to like move all that stuff, and it's just a absolute shit show down in the basement. So I am upstairs now. This is giving me 2020 vibes because this is where I worked all of 2020 when it was locked down. And I'm kind of hating it. Part of me likes it because I like looking at it right now. It's super lame, but I know I'm in my 30s now because in August we get the hummingbirds here. And so I can like watch them all day, which is, for me, entertaining. But like I said, super, super lame to say. But other than that, I don't like it. I have to like make sure everything's cleaned up as soon as the girls get home. Otherwise, they're going to want to run over and press all the buttons, grab all the cords and everything. So not exactly ideal, but we're going to make the best of the situation, which is kind of today's topic. So I'm pretty sure I said it's been a while since I did a couple weeks, and there's a lot that's happened. We had the water damage. We went on vacation right after it, and then on top of that, as soon as I came back, we had some fires to put out in 8WC, along with doing a massive 3-day challenge, which is currently going on when I'm recording this. So there's just been a lot. And so mentally, and then we're planning on a trip this upcoming weekend to go out to Gettysburg and set up, make sure all the hunting stands and everything are good. We're setting up a new one out there. And we've been trying to plan that since July and figure out the date. And it's like, okay, this is the date. So, and with all that being said, anyways, today's topic is making the best out of a shitty situation and not being emotional and reacting to something, giving it time to let your emotions subside before being reactionary. And we can all do this, especially if things are a little bit scary. But we need to give it time. And a lot of times we think it's been forever, and it's been like a few days, or it's been a week. It's like, oh, it's taking forever. It's like, no, you just need a few days. Anyways. So it's important to let emotions subside. So I have a few stories here. Recently, I'm pretty sure I said it on the podcast. This is that whole rant before that. But I have a shoulder injury to my left arm. So again, if you're watching the video, I got more range of motion. But I can't actually, if I do a lateral raise with a 90-degree bend, I can't drop that left arm all the way down like I can with my right arm. So that range of motion, I believe it's bursitis, and that bursa is just so inflamed. But I'm getting more range of motion. I couldn't even like go below this, like true, like parallel to the ground. So I'm getting a little bit more motion each day. So I really didn't work out for 2.5, 3 weeks, whatever that was. And obviously, like right before vacation, not a big deal. We weren't able to do everything we wanted to do on vacation. We had to be more careful because my wife, because I can't do, at that point, things were very painful with it. So I was limited to even doing like a lateral raise. So my wife ended up doing something to her back. And so she got massive sciatic pain. Day one of vacation, like we traveled up, or I should say day two. So we traveled up and we were putting away the pack and play. And the way you're supposed to put it away after I did it, because she usually handles this, but you have to unzip the side and kind of like crawl in, because what keeps the mattress and the sheet like attached, so like they don't bunch up or anything, and which could potentially be a choking or a suffocation hazard. Uh, the feet of the pack and play sit on top of this little bar. So you have to like reach under through this like little hole and pop it out. It's a little bit annoying. It's not hard. It's just annoying. Well, when you unzip that, the girls want to jump inside. So my wife's like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to reach over top. And when she did that, that's when she pulled her back. So I ended up needing to put that away. And as soon as I try, I'm like, there's no way. Like with my previous back injuries, as soon as I try, I was like, no, that feels very unsafe reaching like that. No wonder you pulled yourself. So I unzipped it and did all that. I actually just threw it on top of the bed in the hotel and did it there. I was like, yeah, the girls can't get in. It's lightweight. It's just so yeah, we had that going for us right away. So we weren't able to do like kayaking or anything on vacation, which sucked, but wasn't the end of the world. We didn't have like I couldn't really like lift the kayak up overhead at that time. Like it would be super sketchy. It's super sketchy right now. Like I was only using last night 25 pounds on my left arm overhead, which is nothing. But I tried 55 where I was using kettlebells because the garage is a mess right now. Because of all the hunting stuff we're swapping around and moving and stuff. So no barbells. I was just using kettlebells with 25, 35, 55. So 55 pounds with my right arm, no big deal there. I can do like 15 reps easy. But it just didn't feel stable in the left arm. So I just used 25. But when the shoulder injury happened, obviously like I was making great progress. That sucked. I'm going to fall backwards a little bit. No big deal there. I can get that strength back, but I was, worried about hunting season because I was worried about if I was able to draw my bow, if it was actually a serious injury, and we don't have a crossbow. So like crossbow, no big deal. And we don't really have the funds to just go and buy a crossbow right now either. Like we have other things we need to pay for. We just got water damage. So if insurance isn't going to cover that, we're going to have to pay for that. So there's not money just to drop on a brand new crossbow, even a used one. There's other things we need to do. So it was more like, okay, well, my wife's going to be the one needing to go out and everything. But I had people message me and was like, hey, like, just buy a crossbow, you work out, that's good. And I agree, like, might consider getting one as a backup if we do have the extra funds for it. I'm still like on the fence of whether I'd rather put the money into a inline muzzleloader rather than a crossbow, but that's just me. But with that being said, I was able this past weekend actually to draw my bow back and shoot accurately out to 40 yards, figure out which arrow was the most accurate and everything. So I'm actually feeling good. I'm going to shoot from the tree stands this weekend. Hopefully, I don't know. We have to take the girls out. So setting up and checking the tree stands. I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm going to try. But that's it was good. So it wasn't about being reactive and trying to like, okay, I need to go and purchase this. And then it was going to be a non-issue. Like I would purchase something, have to sight it in, buy new bolts. I learn how to use crossbow. I don't know how to use crossbow. I'm sure it's not crazy hard. But there is a learning curve, figuring out the distances. Like there's a whole big thing for something that actually isn't necessary, or as of right now, don't think it's necessary. So people do this a lot of times with their diets, with the exercise programs, when they don't see results. And a lot of times this is like that first week or second week, or maybe even third week. It's a common conversation I have of something didn't go well. You're trying to lose weight. You didn't lose weight. You're trying to see some sort of progress and you're not seeing progress. And so you think something needs to change. And sometimes there's so many factors. You need to take a step back. You need to slow down. You need to analyze the last week and figure out what the appropriate method moving forward is going to be for you. You can't just well, you can, but you shouldn't try to slash calories, up exercise, all these things when you don't see the scale go down. I remember a couple months ago, we had this client startup in the Prime program, and week one, super enthusiastic. And that's a red flag for me. Anytime I have somebody who's overly enthusiastic. If you start a program, you come and you join my program and you're enjoying it and you're excited, that's fine. But I'm speaking overly enthusiastic, way too much, messaging nonstop, almost obsessive level. Then is week one, I didn't, after the check-in, I'm so disappointed. I didn't lose any weight. I worked so hard. And part of me wants to be no fucking shit. It's been 1 week. You just started exercising. There can be water weight and inflammation and all these other things we're dealing with right now. The scale might not go down on week one. It's been 7 days. You think you're going to have, I didn't say that, but I've had this conversation so many times. And I speak about it so often that anyone who follows me, which this person has followed me for a long time, I'm you should realize by now, you can't base everything of working, not working off of 1 week, because 7 days of hard work really isn't, in terms of weight loss, isn't a long time. I worked so hard, no, not for weight loss. You didn't. Was it maybe rough that first week? Sure. But it's going to take more 3 to 6 months. So you can't base everything off of 1 week. When I talk to clients about plateaus and adjusting things, it's going to be more hey, we need 2-3 weeks of data of you being consistent, not hit or miss. If I see you're not tracking weekends, or the weekends are, you have a bunch of alcohol and things, we need to just cut that out. We need to track the weekends. If you're not hitting your steps, it's we don't know. We need to bump up steps if you can. If you can't, for whatever reason, job, etc., okay, different story. But it's 2 to 3 weeks, which is a very short amount of time in the case of an entire year. In the terms of weight loss, if we're talking 6 months to make a transformation, you're talking 26 weeks. So 2 weeks out of that 26 means there's 24 weeks. 3 weeks means there's 23 weeks left. So the first 4 weeks is trying to figure shit out. How is your body responding? What is the next step? And so this is a very common conversation. That anytime we get an influx of new people, someone is going to kind of be like that. It's not their fault, your fault if you're like this, but you do need to realize we can't be emotional right off the bat. Kind of with me with my shoulder of okay, you can feel emotions. You can be a little bit disappointed that week one if you don't see results, but that's not going to make or break whether you're going to reach your result in the next 3 to 6 months. That's giving you data of what you need to do moving forward. I just had a conversation with someone who just finished their first week. Macros aren't perfect. They're doing a good job. They're doing a really good job. But immediately comes up with a conversation of I'm thinking about doing intermittent fasting. I'm doing this, slow down. You're excited right now. Anytime we're doing something brand new, you're excited. You have a ton of motivation and you're kind of white knuckling it. You don't really have any habits in place yet. So let's see if these things are working, and then we can implement something. That's also if it's not fixed, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it or whatever. Blanking on the thing right now. So we don't want to take an emotional response. We want to think through things logically. And I just actually did this. So I had a whole bunch of blood work and tests done this year. Now I have a family history of high cholesterol. So my LDL came back as 200, and it's been steadily increasing each year, but I'm so young and so active and nothing else was bad. But the LDL just keeps increasing. So at 200, they're we need to put you on statin, because the number one predictor of heart disease later in life is total exposure to LDL. And I want to have that below 100. I'm double that. So at 200, that's a problem. So they're like started on small amounts of a low dose statin, which is fine. I'm not getting any side effects from it. And my VLDL is good. My HDL is good. My triglycerides are good. My glucose is good. Like everything else, it's like checkbox, checkbox, checkbox. Everything seems fine other than this one thing. And that's just genetics. Okay. Well, this is the direction we're going to need to go. I've increased my fiber significantly the past couple months, so we're just going to have to see how that does. I'm in the middle of a weight loss phase. So again, just being a little bit extra careful with things that would actually increase LDL, like too much saturated fat, which is something I do track, but I might need to restrict that a little bit more for my specific genetics. I'm not saying saturated fat is bad for everyone, but if you have the genetics for high LDL, having too much of it will increase. Anyways, not medical advice. Talk to your doctor about that. Anyways, so what I'm saying is while we're doing that at 200, I'm like, okay, this is a major concern. So I was like, it was taking a while to hear back from the doctors. And by a while, I do mean it was like 3 weeks. So in that time frame, I discovered there was like red rice yeast, which is actually difficult to say like 3 times fast, which has been shown to somewhat lower LDL. So I was like, in the meantime, I'm going to use this. And it was like, by the time I did that and got it in, started taking it, it was like 2 days later, they called. They're like, yeah, we're putting in the order for a statin. Because I already knew that they wanted me to kind of do it, but they never put the order in. So I ended up being like 2 days later after it came in. I was like, oh, shit. But I did find with that, the problem with supplements is the dosage can be kind of all over the place because it's not always like the most precise depending on the company. But I did notice some side effects right away of like kind of like an elevated heart rate and things with it. In just the 2 days of taking it, as soon as I removed it, it went away. So I still have the bottle. I'm just probably going to throw it out. Definitely, there same side effects as a statin with it, but I would rather just take the thing that is like the actual dose you're supposed to take. So that's an example of me like, okay, I'm waiting. This is a problem. I know this is an issue. I found a solve for it. Should I just wait this out? And instead of like, literally it was like 2 days later, it's like, oh shit. Okay, well, no big deal. Whatever. It was like $20. It wasn't like a massive investment. But that's an example of doing an emotional response that a lot of people do. I told you about the shoulder and like, okay, we're not going to do this. We're going to solve the issue. And that's more the problem you want to think of like after the emotion subside is like, or during it is like, what is the solve for this issue? And we kind of want to, before taking action, create a game plan. A lot of people are like, especially with diet and exercise, like, okay, solve is more exercise, less food. Implement. And that's a problem. We don't want to do that right away if that's not the issue. If it's like you didn't track Friday, Saturday, Sunday last week and you drank, you're probably inflamed and you probably went over your calories. That's why you didn't see results. So we want to step back first, create a game plan. And with my shoulder, it was like, okay, let's figure out a game plan. I'm still going to be able to do rifle hunting. I might just have to really rifle hunt hard. Which might mean taking some days off and things like that to get out more that time. And then my wife hunting more, which right now with the girls, like one person hunts, one person watches the girls. So it just might be me watching the girls more often. Usually I'm the one going out first because I can shoot further. So there's a better chance of a harvest just to fill the freezer. But this year is like, okay, well, that might not be the case. It's going to be the case now that I'll probably be the one, but we still need to test my shoulder out up in the stand, shooting at the angles that we're expecting to see deer at. But the way things are going, it should be fine as long as I don't do anything stupid. But we came up with the game plan of like, if I re-injure that shoulder, that here's what we're going to do. Which meant we don't need to go and buy anything new. It's like, okay, well, you're just going to have to hunt more, which is fine. And I would like my wife to get out more this year. I don't need to be the only one hunting. Even though I enjoy it, I want her to get also more experience. So it's probably going to be more like I get that first one in the bag and then like get her out more, see if she can harvest something. Generally here it's like mid to late October we get our first deer, sometimes earlier, but just the area, that's usually the case. Anyways, always come up with a game plan, always come up with some, like write something out on paper and notes. Like that's the way I like to like visually see something. But we want to like whiteboard shit, like come up with action steps and reflect on the past to figure out what the solution is going to be moving forward. And then usually you need to give it some time, let those emotions subside, and don't just be reactionary. A lot of people are always in reaction mode. If you don't have to take immediate action, don't take immediate action. Give it some time and figure it out before just like, boom, I'm going to do this. Because I was like, man, maybe I need to clean out that muzzle loader. Maybe we do have a muzzle loader. It's just a really rusted up mess. I got it from my father-in-law. He gifted it along with some shotguns. He kept those in pretty good condition, but the muzzle loader was all rusted out. Me being an idiot a couple years ago, loaded it up with everything: black powder, the sabot, which is basically the bullet if you're not familiar with muzzleloaders. And when I put the cap on, so again, if you're not familiar with muzzleloaders, these are like the old timey guns. They're not flintlocks, but yeah, you have to pull the hammer back. You put it's a percussion cap, so you put this little cap on there, and that slams down and that lights the black powder. So I put all of it up, put the cap on, nothing again. Shit. And there's like, I used the pellets. I didn't use actual powder. So when I went to try to remove it, like with the remover, I couldn't get that shit out. So I don't know if there's black powder still in there, or not. But there's no really good like place to go shoot it. And what happened is there's this little tiny area, this little metal piece with this tiny little asshole between the cap where the hammer slams down that the spark goes in. That was completely rusted. It was like a solid piece of rust. So I had to like drill it out, put a new, like drill the screw out, put a new screw in, clean it out with WD-40, do all these things with it. Now I think it would work, but I'm like, okay, there's black powder in this. Will it ignite? Will it not? Is this going to be a giant ass mess? I don't know. So I need to go and find a black powder expert. It's also not inline. So it's like straight up, just iron sights. Like, well, I can shoot my bow about 50 yards. That's about the max range I'm going to probably feel comfortable with this thing. Unless I find a black powder range, I can go practice, but it's not really my thing. So anyways, I'm rambling now, I realized. But I was like, do I need to like clean that out, get that all set up? It's like, no, I just needed to give it a couple weeks. Like went on vacation, shoulders feeling better. I'm starting to work out. I didn't do push-ups last week. I might try push-ups at the end of this week. I'm going to try bench press probably tonight. I don't know. Garage is a mess. I have a tree stand where we're taking out Gettysburg. I have another tree stand I need to take over end of the week that is replacing that tree stand here. So there's 2 tree stands in the garage. There's a giant archery target we're taking out. There's the bows. Like the garage is like my little workout space is like maybe like 5x5. It's not much room. So I might try dumbbell bench. I don't know yet. I can't do any barbell work because the one tree stand is just sitting there. It's a mess in there. And then gardening supplies is out. It's a shit show. But I just needed to give that shoulder some time to heal up. And it's fine. Like, I was able to shoot. I'm going to be able to shoot this weekend. The shoulder is working just fine. So, for the most part, for archery, it is, I just have to, be careful when I'm cold and shooting it. Obviously, like when it's hot out, that's easy. It's already warmed up. But when it's cold, I'm just going to have to be careful with that. And then obviously from a seated position too, because that's usually how I shoot things. So again, not being reactionary, trying to figure out the solution for things, taking the logical approach is always the way you want to do things, so that you're not actually screwing up your results. You're not wasting time with things, especially when it comes to your health and fitness. Like, you don't always need a new plan. Sometimes you do, but you don't always need a new plan. You don't always need to adjust calories. You don't always need to do more. Sometimes it's doing the things you're already doing better, or actually doing things. Like, if you're tracking, like, are you tracking 7 out of 7 days? Are you tracking all the meals? Like, if you are not, and you're seeing results, great. But if you're not seeing results and you're not doing the thing that tells you how many calories you're eating, do that thing. So sometimes it's that, rather than taking a drastic thing, doing more, putting yourself under more stress, making life more complicated, restricting things more. We don't want to go down that route, because you're probably going to set yourself back longer and you're not really going to see results. Anyways, that's going to be it today, guys. So make sure to like, subscribe, whatever it is appropriate for the channel you are watching this on. Do that. If you enjoyed this episode, if you don't follow me on social media, I post there multiple times a week. Make sure to give me a follow. It's at Coach Chris Heskett on TikTok and Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook. It's just Chris Heskett. You'll see me. So you can do there. So I would recommend doing that. I think there's some freebies down below that you can also grab as well if you need help with things. Like, I believe the Mastering Your Macros guide is down in the show notes. You can go and grab a copy of that if you really need help with your macros. You can also message me on, I would recommend Instagram. Message me on Instagram. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Don't message me on TikTok and Facebook. I get I'm in a ton of chats, so things get lost. I try to keep up, but things get lost, so it might be delayed. And then TikTok's weird. Like, sometimes messages don't really show. But Instagram's the best way. So if you have Instagram, you want to message me, ask questions or anything, do so over there. But until next week, guys,